parenting,
Hoes,
drugs,
bitches,
father figures,
bitch niggas,
mentors,
alcoholics,
people that you need in your goddamn life,
crackheads,
entrepreneur,
new crackheads,
successful business people.
ugly children. Welcome to NTS, which stands for niggas talking shit.
Niggas talking shit, man. GB, what's happening,
It's
man?
cracking, bro. It's cracking.
You know, we came together to kind of lay some of these guys out here up on some game, man.
Sure.
And you know, I know they call you Uncle Jeff. You know, you be keeping them gamed up.
I try,
And,
bro.
You know, I try to do my thing over on Big Herc 916 and Fresh Out. But you know, we have a purpose with this, and I know a lot of y'all ain't got the big homies. You ain't got the OGs out there giving you that game. So we're gonna try to put as much of it as we can out there outside of what you've been exposed to. You were talking about credit, man. And a lot of people don't understand how credit works and how it affects you. And you have been through a lot of financial situations.
Sure.
So maybe you can elaborate on the value of credit for one.
Okay. Well, first understand that, in the words of Steve Harvey, you are only as valuable in business as what you can sign your name and walk away from or walk away with for free. In the words of Steve Harvey, you are only as valuable in business as what you can write your name down for and walk away with no money. You can't get there without building in this system a line of credit, something that says a report card for how you deal with your bills so that you can be trusted with more bills. That's supposed to be the game. That's what the game is on the surface. What the game truly is how much can we gamble on your habits successfully and safely? And how do we know that? By what we've allowed you to gamble with successfully and not lose before, which could be a Visa card with a $200 limit. It could be an American Express card. Whatever it is for you, credit is about what another entity will trust you with. You got to learn how to build that. You got to learn how to not fuck that up. Rule number one, understand what an asset is and what a liability is and the difference between them. Rule number one, learn the difference between an asset and a liability. Now, an asset is shit that makes you money. A liability is shit that costs you money. So by default, your car is liability. Yes, your house is a liability. Unless you are using both to make you money. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't make you money, it's not an asset. 2, get away from thinking that you have to buy a car to establish credit. You don't. That's a big old trap. You show me somebody that bought a car, and I'll show you somebody that got fucked. Show me the paperwork. It's impossible. They can't keep their lights on without fucking you. That's how they do it. There are other ways to build your credit.
Always buy a car cash. And, you know, when you talk about credit, is one of the things people don't understand is building their corporate credit. You know, corporate credit compared to personal credit is two totally different animals.
Sure.
And once you establish your corporate credit is something that you can build up, you can leverage, you can extend and make other moves, and then turn around. You know, if something was to really go sideways, you can start over from scratch, and it's not going to affect your personal credit. totally different animal. You're dealing with a tax ID number, and when you see a lot of people talking about somehow claiming bankruptcy, a lot of times that's not personal. That's their corporate. And corporate is totally different than your personal. But everything that goes on in the economy is based around corporate credit. And when you have corporate credit, people say, oh man, corporate credit, you can write off a lot of things you can't write off on your personal credit. And so you talk about a tax liability, you can pretty much zero out your tax liability and use that corporate credit as far as your corporate tax liability to offset your personal. And these are things that you're never taught in school. Nobody in my family told me about, corporate credit, Dun and Bradstreet, or just, LLCs or S Corp or C Corp. These different things. It doesn't take you don't have to have an office building full of employees to have an S Corp or a C Corp. You can have that, for yourself and be a managing operator and use that to, like I said, you could buy lease cars under that corporation. You could buy office furniture, computers. Most businesses, even though they appear to have a lot of assets, operate at a loss. And so these are things that you can do that they're not going to tell you, but unless you put yourself around the right people who are giving you the game, these are things that are available to you because everything is set up for corporations. The system is set up for people on a personal level to get taxed to death to where you can barely survive.
Sure. And we've thrown around a ton of $50 words here. Let's go through a few of them. First, there was a word that okay, I'm going to get to this faster. There's a credit, corporate credit. No, that wasn't my word. There was a word you threw out. Yes, we threw out a bunch of $50 words. Corporate credit, established credit, business credit, S Corp, LLC. These are cliff notes to your homework. Okay? You got to fix your credit. Well, Jeff, I already looked into it. My shit is fucked up. My mama fucked my credit up when I was little. I went in and tried to buy a car, and they said, unfortunately, Mr. Mitchell, we'd love to get you a car today, but it looks like you defaulted on this refrigerator loan back in the 4th grade, and you didn't know shit about it. So you got to try to figure out how to fix your credit. Where can you start? Because the LLC, that don't mean shit to you. Here's something you can do. Instead of paying people to fix your credit, you can start with $500 of your own money. Yes, it's going to cost you some money. And we'll get to cars and all that in a second. $500 of your money.
If you're fed up with paying cable companies and streaming apps too much money every month, then Vault TV is the solution you've been waiting for. Watch up to 100,000 movies on demand, up to 5,000 TV shows with over 120,000 episodes. Visit us at vaulttv.com.
Take $500 into Bank A. Tell them that you would like to start a secured account. This is $500 that is not to be withdrawn. It is secured. You go to Bank B and you tell them you'd like a secured credit card for $500. They're going to ask you how you're going to secure it. Do you have any collateral? Yes. I have $500 in a secured account in Bank A. 9 times out of 9, they'll go, okay. And they'll give you a card. When you get that card, take $100 out of Bank B and put it in Bank A. Now, Bank A is paying Bank B on a loop. And it's your money that's being paid satisfactorily every month. Every month. And what you are doing with $500 is what this system tries to tell you that you need $50,000 to do with a car. You don't. You don't. Here's the hustle on a car. Cars are set up so that when you buy them, from the time you leave the lot until you're ready to trade it in, you're always behind. The math is the algorithms are purposely set so that you are on the shit end of the stick the whole time. This is what you ought to do. And I hope I haven't caught you before you bought your first car. 1, take a year, save $3,000. Bad news. If you can't save $3,000 in a year, you can't afford a car. There's a lot of shit that goes with a car that if you can't save $3,000 right now, and I understand that, and God bless you, you don't need a car. Okay, you can take $3,000 and buy dependable transportation. No, I didn't say floss in front of the club mobile. No, I didn't say brand new Range Rover. No, I didn't say put that money down on, because none of those are your position. Your shit is fucked up right now. You trying to fix your shit, right? So you need something dependable in your life that isn't dependent upon you having a hunk of money on the first, right? Okay. Find a warm climate, Texas, Arizona, California, Nevada. Find a car that somebody's selling for $4,000. Show up with your $3,000 and grind the shit out of them, and you can make a deal. Now you got this car, and you bought and paid for. You got your pink slip. Now you are going to start paying the bank of you $200 a month. $200 a month while you drive your car around. 200 times 12 is $2,400 a month. $2,400 amassed in 1 year. Let's just say, and this is all rough, easy math, let's just say that 20% of that $2,000, or $2,400, excuse me. Let's just say that 20% of that $2,400 that you saved went to maintenance. That winds up to about $480. Or about, let's just round it up to $500. So $500 a year is going to be spent in maintenance. That leaves you with about $1,900 a year that you save. Times 2 years, you have paid the bank of you $3,800. Minus the $1,000 that you spent on this car over 2 years, taking care of maintenance here, tires here, starter here. You now have this car that we'll say you bought it for $3,000. We'll just say it's easy, it's worth $2,000. $2,000 plus the, what do you have? How much? Is it $3,800? Mm-hmm. That's $5,800 in buying power. You now find somebody who has a $6,500 car. Walk up on them with that $5,800 and go back to paying the bank of you $200 a month. You have paid no interest. You own this car. And if you need $5,800 bad enough, you can sell it. That's what makes it a liability. The bank, you don't buy a car. The bank buys you. The bank says, we'll let this motherfucker ride around in what isn't even our asset. You know what the bank's asset is? Your debt.
Oh, they done flipped that thing.
They done flipped that on the stock market. They don't care about this car. You want to see how much they don't care? They don't want to bring it back. They don't want to repossess your car. They're not in the car business. They're in the business of fucking people over with cars, not keeping them. So the moral of the story is, unless you have $25,000 right here handy, you can't afford a $25,000 car. And if you buy it, as opposed to lease it, it is a guarantee that you are in a poverty cycle that you cannot break paying on the first.
Or any type of luxury item, if you can't pay for it cash, you really shouldn't buy it. And as far as like, you know, when you see people with really exotic looking cars or what they consider supercars, unless that car is working for them in a position where they're either
Leasing it for movies.
exactly renting it out. Like my cars, I rent it out for video shoots.
Right,
movie
right, video shoots, yeah.
Certain store promotion. Like, hey, Jeff, can I use your Thunderbird for? We're gonna do a promotion. We want to use it for a grand opening. People come by, take pictures of it, stuff like that. But that's a totally different level of branding your car, which at that point becomes an asset. And if you use your car as an asset, you can also anything you've done to enhance its condition is a write-off. So there's a lot of little ins and outs that when you see certain things. I mean, there's people, I know of guys who have gotten one or two different nice cars, and they've actually subleased them and actually have made quite a bit of decent money, and they rent them out by the day. So there's hustles, but you don't get fooled by somebody you see driving something, because a lot of times they can be right on the verge of basically being homeless.
Oh, bro, you want to know whose car that is? Let him miss 2 payments. The real owner will come get it. I think something else you just brought up, which is, let's go down the line of how you can benefit yourself from a tax situation. A word we've been throwing at you is write-off. Maybe you don't understand that. Okay. A write-off is an expense, a business expense that the government is willing to subtract from your tax bill. The number of things you can write off grows exponentially when you deal in business, because the tax model for business people is different than the tax model for consumers. For consumers, it's a little rougher. For the businessman, it goes like this. It's almost like your Uncle Sam says, look, I'm going to give you all your money for the whole year. And then you have to convince me why I shouldn't take up to 50% of it. 30-something to 50% to 50-something percent of it. You go, here's why, Uncle Sam. Because I paid for dry cleaning, and I paid for gas, and I paid for video, and I paid for batteries and lights and dinners, every conceivable thing that has to do with your business. When you're not in a tax model of business with your taxes, the government says the following: I'm going to take your taxes out first. Out of every check you get, I'm going to put it on the stock market for myself. And at the end of the year, you try to convince me how much of it I should give you back. Now, which one of those positions do you want to be in? The one where you control your own destiny, the one where you have far more control over your finances, or the one that connects you to America's debt with your Social Security number, the one that constantly keeps you behind the 8 ball with no expendable income, and you can start doing smart shit with $1, no disposable income, just a consumer? Well, that's what you are when you walk your dumb happy ass on a lot. Give me the blue one. No, that's not how that's supposed to work.
And we understand that for a lot of people, trying to actually buy a car cash seems like something that's a monumental
it's
purchase.
Daunting. It's big.
And most people who work a regular 9 to 5, they basically try to keep you at a point where all you can do, our job is to convince you to buy as much shit as possible that will keep you at that 9 to 5, just enough to where you can't pay nothing off, but you have to come to work.
Right.
So we can get you to buy that Hublot, that whatever Maserati or
Tag Heuer,
whatever it is, and it has enough glimmer to it that you'll buy that and then forego whatever else it is to sustain that personal appearance. That's a hustle within itself, and that's branding. So, at the end of the day, knowing how to operate within a certain means, and we know that everything is imagery, and it's a lot of things that they try to do to convince you to go above your means. But if you live within your means, that's the sacrificial trade-off for long-term financial gain that goes back to creating assets rather than dealing with liabilities.
You don't have a choice. And here's what live.
And we're not even financial advisors. We're just giving you guys game.
This is game. This is straight up get it how you live type game. As in understanding that, and a lot of this is not for you if you don't have the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
This is hustler talk right now.
Yeah.
I'm talking to hustlers. I'm not talking about people who are trying to circumvent the law to cover up their own dirt. I'm not talking about people who are looking for some kind of shortcut, because this shit's hard. I'm talking to hustlers. If you truly gonna hustle, you got to get away from your social security number. Real quick lesson, and you can find this out. Go watch you. Yeah, I'll get to that. Stop wasting your time on social media. You have the advantage of all the information in the past 60,000 years on your smartphone.
Yeah, Google.
You can go to Google and learn what it took other people thousands of dollars to learn. Use that resource in your favor and go and watch some Dr. Bob Kiyosaki. Watch Bob Kiyosaki. That's the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Mm-hmm. One of the best books I've ever read, and at the perfect time in my life. And it basically outlines this. That in 1971, Richard Nixon took this nation off of the gold standard. What that means is that when you look at your dollar, it says promissory note on it, which means that the country it's from has to have a representative in its coffers for that dollar. Each one of those dollars used to be represented by as much gold. That's gone. That's when you hear people say they print money out of thin air. That's because there's nothing really backing the money other than your debt. Richard Nixon said, I got something better than gold. I got people who will work 30 years, 40 years for a fucking watch.
Yeah, that's when everybody became chattel.
Yes. You have to, that 9-digit number connects you to America's debt. Your EIN disconnects you from America's debt. And now you're dealing with a private entity that either owes or does not owe, makes or does not make, creates or does not create, succeeds or fails outside of this nation's debt, and both can be good. It can be both that your company is working at a loss and good that your company is working at a surplus, depending upon how you hustle your company. That's a lot. It's a lot to swallow, but you got to get off the 9-digit social security number page. For those of you who are going to hustle, because that's all the future has room for. Mm-hmm. The future does not have room for people who don't hustle. It don't. That's just a common fact, that if you believe that there's a place that's going to have your money waiting on you to come work 40 hours and get it and go home, bad news. Robots are going to be doing that job. You're going to have to deal from whatever it is you were put here to do. Now, I don't know what that is, but your ass do. You know what the fuck you supposed to be doing.